Hey everybody, how's it going? Happy Easter. Today is Easter and I celebrated yesterday and it was really nice. I had a really good time. I hope that you guys have had a nice Easter and been able to do something. I know that a lot of us are self-quarantining and having to sit around and be stuck, but I have, just a few people that I have been around the whole time in my family, and so we did do something small yesterday, and I apologize for the traffic out back. My cat's on the back porch as usual. So yeah, so I figured today I would do some videos. And then I'm hoping I can find something to, let me plug my phone. I'm hoping that I can find something decent to watch on TV tonight. So so if you're new here, if you're not new and you haven't subscribed, I hope that you will click the subscribe button. And if there's something here that you want to share, I hope that you will do that as well. Anyway, so I thought that I would talk about, people are all the time going, what if, how do you know that somebody's a narcissist? And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm not a therapist, so I can't diagnose somebody with narcissistic personality disorder. But you can tell if somebody has high narcissistic traits. And, you can decide for yourself what makes you comfortable or not. And hopefully you have worked on creating your boundaries. And if somebody makes you uncomfortable, you will leave. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some things that I overlooked before. And I have a few examples. And then I want to talk to you just basically about that, how you might feel. So a narcissistic type person, they seek out people that they feel are weak and don't hold those boundaries, because stronger personalities that have the boundaries, they don't really want to have anything to do with them because they can't control them unless they feel they can gain something out of it. So let's just say they have they know certain people that they need to get to know so that they can get to higher places. They may hang out with that person just long enough to get in. But otherwise, if they admire that person and they need to steal some traits from them, they'll hang out long enough. Or if it makes them look good to hang out with that person, then they may hang out with that person. There has to be something in it, but it's not going to be who they're hanging out with 24/7. It's going to be someone that is weaker, that they see weaker. And so they can test you, and they can be quite rude. And someone asked me how I deal with that. And so I thought that I would talk about that tonight, because I do different things. And I have talked about it a little bit before, but I really do want to talk about that tonight. So there are people that will test you. And so they can be quite rude, and it can be where they're putting you down in some way. And they try to sliver it in like it's a joke or something like that, just to see how you react. And if you allow it, they continue, and they know that they can, and they feel a lot of power from it. And they are putting you down, and they think you're too stupid to even get that. That's what they're doing. Now, I have noticed this pretty much my whole life. Okay. I have sinus issues. I'm sorry. I'm always doing this because I'm so allergic to like pollen and stuff. Anyway, they will think that you're too stupid to get it. And that, in a way, to me is annoying, because I know that. And my whole life I've noticed this, and and I still do this a little bit, but I would know it, that they were putting me down, and I would just kind of laugh it off and pretend that I didn't know it. And I would allow them to just think that I was too stupid to not know it, and let them think I was dingy, that kind of thing. It was just easier for me. I'm like, let them think I'm dingy. I don't care. But I know who they are. I know that's somebody that's not good for me. Now, that doesn't mean that I stayed away from everybody that was like that, because I wish I could say that I didn't hang around people that were like that, but because some people I did let cross my boundaries. And that gets more confusing, and that gets into trauma bonding and maybe where my self-esteem was at the time and that kind of thing. I have always tried to put out my boundaries. I just haven't always been able to hold them strong with certain people, not everybody. And it is something that I had to work on in therapy, and I still kind of work on this. It's like, why did certain people get away with it and some people didn't? And so I would just let these people think that I was too dingy to even get that they were saying something, or I would act like they knew better or something, which is deceitful in itself, but it's just how I coped with it, because to me, it just depended on where I was too and what was happening. So let's just say I'm out and about, or I'm at a party or something, and somebody comes up to me and they start doing that, where they're putting me down, they're acting like, they're not really doing it, and it's a funny thing. I may just laugh it off, like revert back to old patterns and just kind of laugh it off just to make it go away, and pray that it's going to go away. Now, if it doesn't, and it keeps going and it keeps going, I will, in my mind, I'll be assessing the situation to when I'm going to say something. And the whole time I will be thinking, I hope I don't have to say anything, because I know that it will be something that they don't expect, and it will trigger something in them, because I will be very serious when I do, because at that point it would have been that I've had it. So I'm just usually this really nice person, but if you keep on bullying me, I will turn and I will have a very serious look on my face and be like, no, stop. That's not okay for you to do that. And because they're just not going to be used to it or expect it. It usually causes a narcissistic injury. And that doesn't mean that somebody's a narcissist, but it means that they crossed a boundary with me, and I had been allowing until I couldn't take it anymore. And then I was like, I've got to set my boundaries so that this person understands, and then they don't do that anymore. And that's why we make boundaries, is to teach people how to treat us. If we teach them that they can walk all over us, then they will. And so sometimes that's what I'll still do, is just, kind of laugh it off depending on the situation. But eventually I will say something. It's just a matter of time. And it depends on who it is and that kind of thing. But I always know when I can tell when they're putting me down. I'm not stupid. And the fact that I know that narcissists, anyway, really do think that you are stupid and that you don't get it, and that they're putting you down, and then they're kind of laughing in their own way about how they're putting you down, and they think you're that dumb. It's really kind of comical, because yeah, I totally know. So if a narcissist is watching like a video that I'm doing, to just know that, yeah, I totally knew that you were putting me down, and I didn't believe what you were saying about me, and I just decided that it wasn't worth the battle. So I allowed it to happen in the moment, to just get through the moment, and I moved on from it. And so doesn't mean it's not annoying when it's happening, but it's just not worth it to me. And the opinion of what that person is thinking of me in that time isn't worth it either. So what happens when you are around someone who is a narcissist, or someone who has highly narcissistic traits? This is how you know. There's an alarm that goes off in your body, and you feel extremely uncomfortable. It sucks the energy out of you. And these people, even though they can be quite charismatic, at times they're very negative people. people, and they can make you feel that negativity, and they want you to take that negativity on. So deep down is how they really feel about themselves, and they want you to feel like crap. Now, a lot of times it could be that they're actually trying to woo you by charm in a nice way, and so you may not see it, and it's covert in that way. But so there's different ways that a narcissist gets to you, but you know they are just really negative people. It's like you will try to find the sunshine somewhere, and they will find the darkness in a corner that you never knew existed. And they will try to make you believe that. And if you don't agree with them, that annoys them, and they just want to get away from you. They want to enlist people who will agree with them and band with them in an army of negativity. And it's really sad because negative places aren't fun. It is for them. It is for them because they're like, ooh, I just knocked all that off of me and threw that right on into somebody else. I have so much power. I cannot believe that I took something so negative and got this thing going, and it's this surge of energy that they get. That's that powerful feeling that we talk about. So that power and control, and it actually soothes them. So if they're feeling anxiety, they're feeling bad about themselves, they do this kind of thing to get the surge of power back into them, which then kind of soothes their anxiety. It's almost, it's just the way that they have learned to cope with their feelings. And so that's just one of the ways anyway. So if someone is being negative towards you, and sometimes they're doing it and they don't allow other people to see it. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they want a crowd and they think it's hilarious, and they just pick you out to bully you and try to get everybody else to laugh too. And that makes them feel really good. And a lot of times people that are doing that which is terrible, by the way, but a lot of people, they're too afraid to say anything themselves, and they don't want to be the one who does and stand out in that way because they don't know how it's going to turn on them. But a lot of them will be thinking, gosh, that's kind of nasty that they were that way, but they just don't say it because they're too insecure to say it too. So they just want to feel good, and they want center stage. And so they do whatever they can to have center stage, and it doesn't really matter what people think about them in the moment. They're not caring about that. They're caring about how they see themselves, how they feel in that moment. They may deal with all that other later, but in the moment, they're shining in their eyes, and this makes them feel good. And it's kind of pathetic. And I see it, and it's happened to me so many times in my life. You know, it could be anything. It could be somebody picking out something about me, you know, my looks, something about my looks or something, just to make themselves feel better. It's like, why? You got to feel better to put people down? It's really sad. And people go, well, I don't understand. Why does a narcissist have to do that? Well, we're not narcissists. If you're not a narcissist, of course you don't understand that, because you wouldn't want to do that. You want to find something beautiful about someone. You know, somebody said something to me one time. I was dating this guy, and this guy, the one that said something to me, gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. A beautiful man. To this day, he is a beautiful man. This was a really long time ago. And I may have talked about this before, but he literally sat down next to me one time and questioned me about somebody that I was dating. He was like, what are you doing with him? Actually, this happened to me twice. So maybe I'll give the other one too. But he was like, what are you doing with him? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, I don't understand. What are you doing? Like, ugh. And I was like, what are you doing? That is so rude. Who are you to say something about somebody else? I literally called it out what it was. And I think it really surprised this guy. I mean, and when I say, like, most girls would look at this guy and be like, oh, he's the hottest thing I've ever seen. Honestly, he is like movie star good looking. He's probably one of the best looking men I've ever known personally, but never liked, because he thought he was God's gift to women, and he was rude. And I'm not going to get into, I don't want to describe too much about him, because, you know, who knows, he might actually see this, and maybe he'll remember that, but I doubt it. But it was so rude because he was going based on looks only. And I happen to think that this person that I was dating was very good looking, and I still think that he is good looking today. Very good looking person. And I thought, and I did defend his honor. And he never knew that this ever happened, because I would never go and tell them that and make them feel any kind of anything about that, because it wasn't worth it. And what that person said, it was as if they were putting me down. Like it made them feel better about themselves or something. And it made them feel like like putting me down in the way, shaming me, like I don't have good taste. And I don't know what it was, the rudest of the rudest. But when they recognized that I was having none of that, and I didn't even get mad about it, I was just very matter of fact. And they got away from me. And another thing, narcissistic people, the happier you are and the more you ignore like stuff like that with them, and you just don't really pay them much mind, they don't want to be around you. As a matter of fact, you get on their last nerve. It's something inside of them. It drives them crazy that you're happy, or that you're always having fun, or appears that way anyway, because, you know, people like take social media to like, it's like the holy grail, and that, you know, nobody ever has a bad day. Come on. But they can't stand it, and they will find anything and everything they can to pick that person apart, because that's really how they feel on the inside. They're so jealous that they can't stand it, and they have to soothe themselves by lashing outwardly about this person. Sometimes people don't outwardly do it, so I guess, you know, if you're more covert, you can inside be seething it, and do other ways to try to sabotage someone. And that would be more on the down low of maybe, I'll have to do another video on that, okay, because it's already 17 minutes. So these people, I 17 minutes in, I still have so much I want to tell you. So I'm going to go into another video and just do the other video. But if you walk away feeling drained, or you walk away and you keep thinking about what these people, like what they said or what they did, and it's like really hanging on you, and it just feels really negative, and you're not taking anything positive away from that experience, you may have been around a narcissist. Either that, or they have high narcissistic traits, and that is somebody that you don't want to spend a lot of time with. Because someone like that, if they get in and they hang out with you too long, and they continue to do that, what's repeated, your mind will take on, and you will start to believe that stuff about you. So that's why when you get in a narcissistic, abusive, emotionally abusive relationship, and you are in it for a long period of time, it does affect your mind. It's mind manipulation, and it takes a long time to try to rewire your brain again to not believe those negative things that have been placed into your mind. And that's that negative self-talk that you'll always be saying to yourself, well, maybe I am too fat. Maybe, you know, my eyes are too close set. Maybe, you know, whatever it is about you, maybe my nose is too big, or, you know, maybe, you know, my hair is too frizzy, or it's too short, or it's whatever it is that someone wants to say. Maybe my teeth are too crooked, and maybe that's why people don't talk to me. Maybe they're right about that. Or, you know, maybe I don't have anything that great to say, and my ideas aren't that great. That's all negative self-talk. And guess what? Your ideas are great because they're coming in and they're stealing that from you. They want to steal your sunshine, your jokes, your ideas. They want to steal your style. Believe you me, they just do it to make you feel bad, to make them feel better. So that's what it looks like and feels like to be around somebody narcissistic. Until next time, see ya.